Hi everyone, how are you doing? So my name is Maayke. I am from the Netherlands, and the next half hour I'm going to talk to you about how to turn waste into wealth. And I want to start by asking you a question. How much plastic is dumped into our oceans every minute? Just think about it for a second. How much do you think it is? It actually is a garbage truck filled with plastic. In a year, this adds up to 8 million tons of plastics being dumped in our oceans. And if we continue like this, by 2050, we will have, by weight, more plastic in our oceans than fish. It's ridiculous. And a recent study showed that we are already eating plastic as well, because we eat fish, bigger fish, and hence it ends up in our own food chain. So scientists have discovered 9 different types of plastic in our stool. 9 different types, and it's even in our rain. So now in the Arctic, they measured the rain particles. There's microplastics in our rain. So why am I talking about plastics? So waste, sustainability, circular economy, those are terms you hear more and more. And I wanted to just set the stage. Sustainable development is defined as development that meets the need of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Whereas circular economy is actually an economic principle. The economy and all the materials in the economy are designed in such a way that they can be recycled endlessly. So the circular economy can be seen as a means to achieve sustainable development. So what are we doing right now? We're living in a linear economy. We take materials out of the ground, we make them into a product, and then by the time we're done with it, which usually is not longer than 6 weeks on average, we dump it and it turns into waste. Where we want to go to is from using it immediately to the trash bin, also not a recycling economy by looping it maybe one more time, reusing your plastic bag one more time, but going to a circular economy where nothing is being wasted anymore. This bin, you don't even use this bin at all. And why is it important to think about this in the first place? Like, why are you sitting here on a sunny Sunday afternoon listening to me talking about trash? Well, the reason is worldwide resource extraction is on the rise. So we're extracting more and more resources over time, and we see that by 2050, the amount that we want to extract is even more than doubling, which is a lot. Also, we see that all our new information technologies that we use, like our phones, our computers, MRI scanners, solar panels, more and more different types of materials are required for that. So as you see, in 1700, we had a windmill. We used 3 different types of things, some iron. Right now, we use a huge variety of resources, which means that demand for resources, especially as population is growing as well, is on the rise. So much even that by 2030, certain types of materials like cobalt, which is in our phones, is expected to increase by 35,000%. Well, we do not have 35,000% extra demand of cobalt stored in the ground. We actually have physical scarcity of resources. So we're extracting more and more, but it's got to come from somewhere, and we mined a lot already. So as you see here, silver, which is a very common material, also present in the majority of our information technologies, if we continue mining like this, we'll run out of it in 12 years. That is not very far. So we see that we are mining so many resources, and we're using so many resources, that we're using up more resources than the Earth can regenerate. And silver is one thing that takes ages, but also wood and fish. So this is coined Earth Overshoot Day. And you see a lot of countries, and I Googled it for Latvia because you're not on this nice diagram. The 4th of April, you have used up all the resources that are actually available for your country to use for the whole year. The 4th of April, that is really early on. But the majority of the materials that we already have mined, because we've been doing this for ages, is in our built environment. It's in the material stock around us. So we have our phones, we have our buildings, we have our clothes. It's around. And I love this picture because it's all the materials that are present in a Volkswagen Beetle. You're really unfamiliar with that and what it looks like. So all these materials are already there, but what do we do with it? Basically, nothing. So we're just throwing it away. Sometimes we're even burning it, which means you can't do anything with it anymore because it doesn't exist anymore. So especially a group of materials, rare earth elements, present in all our information technologies, MRI scanners, solar panels, less than 1% is being recycled. And the worldwide mountain is expected to grow with 70% by 2050. Whereas 95% of material value is lost after a single use. And the easiest example is a coffee cup. You use it once, drink some coffee, maybe at a meeting that you're at, and then you throw it away. Such a waste. And actually, it's such a waste that it adds up to 1.8 trillion euros in only 3 sectors, only in Europe. So we're not only wasting materials, we're also wasting a lot of money. So if today you don't remember anything of what I said, I hope you do remember that waste is wealth. And my own company is actually helping other people capitalize on this. It's called the Excess Materials Exchange. And we like to describe ourselves as a dating site for materials. So what we do is we match supply and demand of materials. We use 4 different types of technologies. I will describe them briefly, and then I'll show you some examples of the work that we've done, because that's always a lot nicer than the theory. The first thing that we use is a resources passport, and that is actually interesting because one of the reasons that materials are not exchanged on a large scale is a lack of transparency. We don't know what exactly is in our phones. And because we don't know what exactly is in it, where is in it, how to get it out, it's really hard to make the business case. Hence, it's being thrown away. So we have invented a system called the Resources Passport that gives these materials an identity. And I'll show you later what it looks like. Then we track and trace these materials throughout the supply chain. Then we give them an end-of-life value, a financial end-of-life value, because now you pay to get rid of your waste, whereas you could also get paid for it, because it's still worth something. And with this process, we calculate the environmental impact of recycling these materials again, and we find the most optimal match. Resources Passport, easiest way to describe it, is an ingredient list like you have on your food, but then for physical products. This is what it looks like right now. So it gives materials an identity and enables you to make the financial business case and the environmental business case. So, what have we done with this? Well, we looked at different types of material streams over the last year. One of them is coffee grounds. I think the majority of us are coffee drinkers, and after you drank your cup of coffee, you're throwing away the coffee grounds, because using them again to make coffee, you have really badly tasting coffee, so that's not really an option. So what can you do with it other than throw it away? We have identified these 6 options. There's more, but at least these 6. So you can make ink out of it, mushrooms, coffee cups with the fibers, soap, cosmetics, and water filters. And my question to you to think about is, which one of these do you think makes the best financial business case? I'll give you a moment to think about. I think it's really hard for me to hear you, so just... The best financial business case is ink. And that is for us also really, it was a surprise. It's not the most common thing to happen. So we're doing this on a large scale now in the Netherlands. Another thing that we looked at is orange peels. We all drink orange juice, and then after that you throw away the peel. So what can you do with it other than throwing it away? You can use it as feed for livestock, soap, perfume, pectin, for medicine and marmalade, biogas, and resins for paint for the color orange. My question to you is, which of these 6 options has the best environmental case? So by reusing it, what is the biggest environmental impact that you can generate? It is feed for livestock. I see you cheering, yes. Yeah, because right now, especially, this is locally for the Netherlands, so maybe in Latvia it's different. I think it's about the same. We import all the orange peels and feed for livestock. No, we import the soy from Brazil. But if you use the orange peels as feed for livestock, you don't have to import soy from Brazil, and that actually has a huge environmental impact. So by doing something that actually was done decades ago as well, we save huge amounts of carbon emissions. And the last example of what we've done, we worked for the Dutch railway company, and we looked at what can we do with the tracks when the train can't drive over it again. So we have I-beam, sound wall, and a fence. And in this specific case, the business cases overlap. So the financial business case and the environmental business case overlap. And the best option is a load-bearing beam. So right now, we're actually working to include old railway tracks in buildings, which is really, really awesome to see happening. And in a pilot that we've done in 2018, we looked at 18 different types of material streams, amongst the 3 that I just mentioned, but also plastics, lights, sludge, dynamic vehicle systems. What else do we have? The sleepers on the railway tracks, carpets. And what we saw happening is that we could make a huge financial business case by finding a high-value alternative destination for these materials. So much, actually, that we can convert this cost into a financial income of 64 million euros for these 18 streams. Plus, we converted the environmental cost. Sorry, the wind is in my microphone, I think. And we saved 45 million in environmental cost. 45 million. It's a lot. The energy use that we saved is the same as burning the street light of Paris for 5 years. A carbon reduction by reusing these materials again of almost 863,000 car rides from Amsterdam to Milan. That is basically the whole population of Amsterdam in a car to Milan. And water use, we saved 860 Olympic swimming pools. So that is really incredible. And thank God other people have started to notice that this is actually an option, that you can do these things with waste on a large scale. So we've won a lot of awards and recognitions. And the reason I'm saying that, or that it's actually in the presentation, is because usually when you're a young person, especially a woman in an old man's world, waste world, they're like, meh, I'm sure, like, it's a nice idea, but I'm not really sure if it's working. But if other people say that it's actually working, that's really great support for our ideas. And what we see eventually, in conclusion, is that value retention practices like remanufacturing, repair, reuse could cut waste by 80 to 99% and significantly reduce carbon emissions by 79 to 99%. And then maybe you're wondering, well, why now? I mean, silver is running out in 12 years. What should I worry now? Well, I'll give you an example. So you're standing in the Wembley Stadium. I looked it up. It's 10 times bigger than the Skonto Stadium that you have here. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that well. But it's 400 million cubic meters. And you're standing in the middle of this stadium. And the stadium is watertight. And in the middle of the stadium, every minute, a drop of water falls. And it doubles every minute. So the first minute, 1 drop of water falls. The second minute, 2 drops. The third minute, 4 drops. Fourth minute, 8 drops. So it's doubling every time. The question is, how long do you think it takes before this huge stadium is filled to the brim with water? Just think about it in your head for a moment. The answer is 46 minutes. It's ridiculously fast. And by minute 30, the water is coming up to your ankles, and people saying, you really have to leave the stadium because we're going to drown. And you're like, nah, I'm good. And this is what's happening in society right now. There's lots of exponential trends that unfortunately today I don't have time to go into, but it's really interesting to check it out. And the reason we have to act now and that we start doing things now is because of these exponential trends. We don't have the luxury of 12 years. And then maybe you're wondering, so why me? Like, I'm sitting here, you know, I have a nice job, what the hell can I do? And then I have this quote, and I love this quote, and it actually helps me through everything that I'm doing. Because if you think you are too small to make a difference, try sleeping with a mosquito in your room. Cool. That was it. Thank you.